Hello, everyone. We are continuing with our math work in topic 13, dealing with measurement. But today is going to be the first day that we switch from the customary system of measurement to the metric system of measurement. So over the last few days, we have been focused on the customary system of measurement. Remember, the customary system of measurement is the system that we use here in the United States. So you see in front of you on the screen all of the different units of measurement that we have been working with. So the customary units for length, the customary units for capacity, and the customary units for weight. We're now going to add even more vocabulary into our brains. Over the next several days, we're going to be continuing to work with length, capacity, and weight. But now we're going to add the metric system and the metric units into our vocabulary. So the metric system of measurement is used by scientists all around the world, even here in the United States. It is the system of measurement that is used in all of the other countries in the world, but the United States. So even though we don't use it as much here in the United States, why is it so important to know? Well, it's important because anytime you are dealing with science, whether that's reading a nonfiction text or completing a science experiment, or if you choose when you become much older to participate in science, whether that is your profession or just something you enjoy for fun, you need to be familiar with these units of measurement. Okay, so we're going to begin by studying the metric units of measurement for length. Now, one reason why so many people around the world use the metric system of measurement is a lot of people think it's actually easier. You're going to notice in the words, I hope you already see, the same thing repeated over and over and over again. So one of the key words that you're going to need to know for the metric units of length is meter. So here we have a millimeter, a centimeter, a meter, and a kilometer. Okay, I know it looks like kilometer, but most people actually pronounce it kilometer instead of kilometer. Okay, and we'll talk about what all of these things mean. So the terms that you need to know are millimeter, the abbreviation is mm, centimeter, the abbreviation is cm, meter, the abbreviation is just m, and kilometer, km. Okay, so what you have in front of you are some pictures to help you remember the size of these measurements. A millimeter is about the size of the tip of a pencil point. Yes, it is very, very tiny. Okay, when we did our microworlds unit and we were measuring the width of our hair or looking at our hair under a microscope, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about millimeters, a very, very teeny tiny unit of measurement. A centimeter is about the width of a pencil eraser, or even look down at your pinky nail. Your pinky nail, the width of it is about the size of a centimeter. Okay. A meter is much larger. If you think about this boy here who has his arms spread apart, that's about the length of a meter. And what you're seeing here is a meter stick. Okay. A very, very, very long ruler that measures that length. And a kilometer is really, really far. A kilometer, think of a very, very long road. You would almost have to either run or drive, okay? Those of you that are runners and that do 5Ks, that's the measurement of 5 kilometers. That's why it's called a 5K, okay? It's a very long distance. So, some things that I want you to be familiar with. Okay, you're going to need to know some conversions. So when you look at a ruler, most rulers will have inches on one side to show you the customary system, and then metric on the other side. The metric stuff is right here. Okay, all of these numbers that you're seeing represent the centimeters. Okay, each of these itty bitty teeny tiny lines that you're seeing in between here, those are all the millimeters. So in 1 centimeter, there are 10 millimeters. In 1 meter, there's 100 centimeters. And 1 kilometer has 1,000 meters. Now, you might be noticing, wow, that's a lot of zeros, 10, 100, 1,000. This is another reason people like the metric system, because it deals with easy numbers. You're not dealing with 16 or 8. You're dealing with numbers that are multiples of 10 and they have zeros in them, so they're much easier to work with. Okay? So, in your math book, you will see when we get to it, the visual learning page has a conversions chart that will help you. Okay, so speaking of math book, let's get to your math book. So find page 697, lesson 13-4. We're going to work with metric units of length. Okay, so here is today's solve and share problem. Find the length of the marker shown in both centimeters and millimeters. Describe the relationship between the two units. Okay, so we have this blue marker lined up here next to a metric ruler. And if we look at the top of the marker comes across and hits right at this point right about here. Okay, so if you're looking at the larger numbers, we can see that it's right at the 12. Well, what that means is this marker is a length of 12 centimeters. So we found the length of the marker in centimeters, but now we need to find it in millimeters. Now, you could sit and count all these individual lines. But if you do that, someone's going to look at you like you are crazy. So let's use our math knowledge to figure that out. Okay, so here's how you figure that out. If you think in terms of conversion, 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. Okay, so here's 10, 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 and 10 more, and 10 more, and 10 more, and 10 more, and 10 more. So you could skip count by tens. Easier way to do that would be to do multiplication. We have 12 centimeters. We know there are 10 millimeters in each centimeter. So let's multiply. And guys, metric system is going to be awesome because it's lots of zeros tricks. So underline the things that are not zero, and we get the basic fact of 12 times 1. Well, 12 times 1 is 12. Stick on the 0 at the end. You just figured out that this marker is a length of 120 millimeters. Okay, so when we describe the relationship between the two, notice that the centimeters are larger than the millimeters. Because the millimeters are so small, our number, our quantity in our answer is always going to be much larger. Okay, the bigger the unit, the smaller the number. The smaller the unit, the bigger the number. All right, so just keep in mind on your visual learning page, there is this metric conversions chart here. Okay, you'll see it goes from centimeters to millimeters, meters to centimeters, and even millimeters, and kilometers and meters. So let's look at a couple more problems together. All right, so to the guided practice section, we're going to skip past number 1 and let's just work on number 2 and number 3 together. Okay, so if you can do equations in your math book, if you're able to write small enough, wonderful. If you need scrap paper, make sure you have some scrap paper as we're working through this. Okay, so number 2, we have 5 kilometers. We're being asked how many meters that is. So we know kilometers are a really long distance that you would have to run or even drive. And we're going to meters. So we're going from a really big unit to a much smaller unit. Now, let's think about what we know. We have 5 kilometers. And if you look back at the conversion chart, there's 1,000 meters in each kilometer. So this would be 1,000 and 1,000 and 1,000 and 1,000 and 1,000 and 1,000, 5 times that. Easy way to do that is to just write yourself a multiplication equation. And I can do it horizontally because with the zeros, I can use the zeros trick. So underline what's not a zero, and we get the basic fact of 5 times 1, which is 5. Stick on the 3 zeros, and we get 5,000. 5 kilometers is 5,000 meters. So those of you that like to run 5Ks, you're running 5,000 meters every time you do one of those. Okay, so do the same thing again with number 3. We have 75 centimeters, and we're going to millimeters. So we have 75 pencil erasers going to those itty bitty, teeny tiny, teeny bitty, like pencil point things. So think about what that's going to do to our number. We're going from pencil erasers to pencil points. So our number is going to get much bigger. So in case you don't already have it in your head, in each centimeter, there's 10 millimeters. Okay. use those conversions charts. So if we have 75 centimeters, each of those centimeters has 10 millimeters. Okay, don't let this 2-digit thing make you nervous. Again, it's the zeros trick. Underline the things that are not zero, and we get the fact of 75 times 1. Well, any number times 1 is the number. So 75 times 1 is 75. Stick the 0 on the end, and we get 750. So that is how you do conversions using the metric units for length. So as you continue your practice today, we are going to ask you to complete numbers 4 through 9, numbers 10 and 11. On the back, numbers 12, 13, 18, and 19. Remember, use your conversions chart, use your scrap paper, use the zeros trick, and if you need help or if this is not making sense, please reach out to your teacher and let them know.